I know y'all been sitting for a long, long time, haven't you? I know. But I want to say thank you to all of you for being here today and wishing all of you the best for the next 2 years, because I am very honored and grateful to dedicate the next 2 years of my life by leading alongside with all of you, because you are the most dedicated group of advocates I've ever met in my life and probably will ever meet, because you have the passion it takes to lead forward in the future for our children. As your 56th National PTA President, I want to talk to you about 3 things: engagement, empowerment, and community. At PTA, our mission is our identity. As PTA members and leaders, we know that we can make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. Remember the wisdom of Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. How many of you have gone to a PTA meeting much like Catherine, but she wasn't there, and found yourself being asked to serve as an events chair or secretary treasurer or maybe even president? How many of you? You know, that's a good sign of leadership. And people gravitate to leadership. And you made it work, right? And you achieved great things because you believe, as I believe, that it's all about relationships. It is the common thread in my own PTA story, and probably yours as well. For me, at every step of the way, someone said to me, "Leslie, we need you." And I said, yes, because I knew there was a position to be filled and because someone took the time to ask. When my family first moved to New Mexico, I walked to my son's school to pick him up so I can meet the other moms. After a week or so, they asked me, "Will you be the PTA treasurer?" My first thought was, these people are crazy. But then again, there was a need. Someone took the time to build a relationship with me, to believe in me, and most importantly, they took the time to ask. And of course, I ended up doing it. I was engaged. The same thing happened when we moved back to Texas to help with my family. I went to register Jason and Ashley at school, and Ashley was not happy because she had changed schools every school year. So I knew I had to get it back engaged in school. So what did I look for? The PTA table. So they had a sign-up sheet, and they needed a hospitality chair. After being treasurer, I thought, what more could I do? I could be a hospitality chair. That would be no problem, right? Sometimes that's more work. So served that year, and next year, I was president. Who knew? But it is what we do as mom and dads, right? We step up when there is a need. I know this especially because my PTA family, our PTA family, has stood beside me through some pretty tough times. And I think you probably have done this within your own PTA family. When I was district president for Texas PTA, my son was having a very difficult time in school. And Jimmy and I decided that it was time that I spent some time at home. And unfortunately, Texas PTA was having their largest leadership event, their summer leadership seminar. But my state president allowed me to send a substitute in my place. And on my district board was my best friend, Jeannie. And so off to Austin she went. And my PTA family chose not to make me feel guilty for staying at home, but instead rallied around me and my family. And they actually visited several workshops until they found what they thought might be a solution for me. And I was like, when they called me, I was like, what have y'all done? They went, yeah, no, Les, we found the answer. I said, and how do you know that answer? By listening to you about what you're experiencing and what Jason was experiencing at home. And so they had found and gone to a workshop about ADD and ADHD. So off we went to the doctor. Sure enough, Jason was diagnosed with ADHD. My PTA family was truly my support. They were engaged. And then again, years later, as my years in first vice president, the same family of support was there for me and my family when I lost my mother and my father. And I'll try not to get too emotional. But Kyle, Darren, Sharon, Michelle, Barbara. See, I lost my dad and my mom within 45 days of each other. And these group of individuals not only made my first funeral, but turned around back again and made the second one when my mother passed away. It was hard. You go through that crucial time when you change from being the child to a parent, and then all of a sudden they're gone. And this family is just like any other family. Sometimes we quarrel. But you know what? I love this family. And we'll work through our differences because that's what we do. To me, and I think to most of you sitting here, as well as the rest of our members, that's what PTA is all about. Empowering moms and dads to improve not only their lives, but also the lives of their children. This is what we do this best. Remember, because that's what you did when you first joined. It wasn't because you saw the big picture of PTA, was it? How many of you thought about going on Washington, D.C. up there on the federal ledge chair whenever you joined PTA? The very first time you signed up. How many? It was about your child, right? Fess up. It was. Because you wanted the very best for them. We were selfish. Ensuring that they had the best resources, the best teachers, and a great school climate to learn and grow in. That's what every parent wants, and PTA gives it to them. And I also remember even today, as a young girl in elementary school who was homeless, but who grew to love her PTA volunteers and community in her school, so much so that she saved every penny until she had the $10 in her hand and walked up to the school secretary and said, I want my mom to be a member of PTA. She had no address. She lived in her car. But she felt empowered by those volunteers. And she knew the value of who we were. And the relationships you build every day amplifies our PTA voice. So we all started on that PTA journey, right? With our children and their families. But then again, as we grew as leaders, and we've all grown, we began to see the bigger picture. Understanding how our combined voices made an even bigger impact within our communities and our school boards. And seeing the need for great leadership and the need for our voice at the state and federal level because it became even more apparent. After all, sustainable change, real change, happens within our legislatures. Our PTA voice, no matter what issue or at what level, makes a difference. We are empowered. We are PTA. Say it with me. We are PTA. We are PTA. Say it again. We are PTA. And that will be critical for us, our voices, because never before has our nation, our families, and our students seen more violence. Schools were once considered the one safe place our children could go to learn, grow, and flourish. I wish I could look at you now and tell you, I have the right answer. But that is not reality today. Our children need our voice, our strength, and our leadership so that no child suffers at the hands of anyone carrying out an act of violence. We must be empowered. We need to continue to fight for more funding towards mental health access for our students. We need to fight for laws that ensure our schools are safe from gun violence. Our schools are where we are building tomorrow's leaders today. Right now, we are educating future engineers and artists, entrepreneurs and activists, economists and astronomers. Our children are the dreamers and doers who will create a world we can't even imagine. They deserve so much more. They deserve a safe environment. They deserve to attend school without fear. They deserve a better nation. And I stand before you today to say, we, PTA, will be the ones to give it to them, and we will fight for them every day. We are PTA. Say it with me. We are PTA. It is time we stood together as one united voice. My journey, our PTA journey, will boil down to one thing: the call to courage. I'm not just talking about stepping up when we need to, which is fantastic that we do, right? However, this year, more than 40 of our 54 state PTAs will change leaders. Our leadership will face a true call to courage, because as leaders, how we choose to lead our PTAs to support our mission will be vital. How we choose to engage our communities to unite in support of our future and our children will be crucial. And how we choose to raise our voices for those who need our help most will define us all. Again, it is time we stood together as one united voice. To do this, we must be willing to be vulnerable. We must be willing to take risk, to try, to fail, and to try again. In order to create change, not only change, but positive change. We must reach out to people we don't know to ask to join our association. Some will choose to join, and some will not. But you won't know if you don't ask. Extend a hand and say, come join us. Help us make a difference in the lives of the students on our campus and in our community. We must extend ourselves by hosting a whole different type of event beyond our school walls. We need to go where they are and stop accepting the fact that they're going to come to us. It's not working. We've got to go and think about where we are today. Think about where our members are. Think about where our families are. We have got to go beyond a meeting. They don't like meetings anymore. It's time we figured that out. So let's build relationships. Let us stand together as a community that understands the value of PTA and the impact of family engagement. Brene Brown, a fantastic research professor at the University of Houston, and yes, that's in Texas, I love her, puts it best, I think. She says that vulnerability and courage are not opposites. They are one and the same. Vulnerability is our most accurate way to measure courage. So we can really measure how brave you are by how vulnerable you're willing to be. So think about it for a minute. How brave are you? How vulnerable are you willing to be? The answer has to be, actually it must be, more than it has ever been in the past. Why? Because if there is no vulnerability, there is no creativity. If there is no tolerance for failure, there is no innovation. And we do need to innovate, don't we? We're not going to stay the same, are we? The time for change is now. I get that it may be easier to do the things the way we have always done it, but to expect things to be different, isn't that called insanity? So just remember, our world has changed. Our demographics have changed. Reality has a whole different definition, and we have the opportunity, if we take it, to define the reality here, now, today. We must take risk. We must own the impact we have on our school communities. The next time you host an event, contact your local news media and every social media outlet, shout it out everywhere. The next time a law comes up that you don't like, or even if you do like it, schedule an appointment with your senator or representative or whoever that politician happens to be. Talk to them, create a relationship. The next time you hear someone and they don't understand or have a question about something that's happening in the school and they're worried about their child, invite them into your next PTA meeting. Or better yet, invite them to have coffee first. Create a relationship. Use your voice, the voice of your membership, the voice of your PTA, the voice of our PTA, to make a difference in the lives of the families and the children that you serve every day. Use your influence. Vulnerability is powerful. Don't you want to be a part of something bigger, something earth-shattering? I feel it. As Theodore Roosevelt once said, and Jim said it earlier, it is not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who at best knows in the end that the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So here's the deal. So that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. I want to emphasize that for a reason. It is not the critic who counts. A lot of people have come up to me and wanted to know who I am or who I will be as your president. I am not appreciative of finger pointing. I want solution-based people working with me. I want people that will work with me and work together to find a solution for our association. No finger pointing. Don't talk about the past with me. That's done and over with. We've got to work for the future and get this association where it needs to be. So if you're willing to do that, I will talk to you every day for as long as you want to do that. But don't point fingers. Don't do it. I can't fix the past. I can only fix the future. So let's fix the future together. So let's dare greatly together. Let's ask ourselves, what would Alice McClellan Burney and Phoebe Efferson Hearst and Selena Sloan Butler do? What would our founders ask of us today as we steward this legacy association? We must decide what we want to achieve. We must be vulnerable. We must be courageous. We must be willing to stand together and raise our voices high. So let's think again about our mission statement, because I think some of you think it's really a high lift. To make every child's potential a reality by engaging, empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. I think it's the all children sometimes that judges just freak out about. So at the national and state level, doesn't that truly mean empowering and engaging our leaders to create positive change within their states and the families and students they touch? On the local level, doesn't this mean empowering and engaging communities and families to create positive change so students, teachers, and administrators can achieve success? I think if we asked and had that conversation with anyone, they would want to be a part of our association because we are about a solution. We are not about pointing fingers. These questions and answers and solutions open the door for all of us and all of you to have that personal conversation about anyone interested in investing in our future, which brings us to why PTA supports a high-quality education for all students. Our nation was founded on the premises that educating children was necessary for our nation to succeed. After all, our founding fathers, from the very beginning, saw the need to secure lands for each state to help fund education. We must continue to fight the fight for that bold idea to fully fund public schools. Every child deserves the very best education, safe and secure schools, healthy environments, and the skills necessary to be successful no matter their path after high school. Whether it's a college, career, or whatever they choose for their life. Let us raise our voice for an equitable system where education knows no politics. Get it out of the politics here in our nation. We must help our members, our leaders, our teachers, our administrators, and our communities understand the value of who we are. We are PTA. We are the largest child advocacy association in the nation. We are a membership association. We are an association whose voice speaks as one for all children. And yet, within our own ranks, we have trouble relaying our value, and it breaks my heart. I wish each one of you could have been with your officers when we were in New York City at the Child Mind Institute's Changemaker Awards ceremony and reception. Your association was a finalist for one of the most prestigious awards, the Outstanding Organization Award. While we did not win the award, what I wish you could have experienced is the standing ovation we, National PTA, your PTA, received. Everyone else, every other individual or association there was a professional, a doctor, a psychiatrist, a researcher, an actor, a sports celebrity. And yet, they chose to give our association a standing ovation, and we are an association of volunteers. I was moved beyond words and very humbled. They see what I see every single day. I see the lifeblood of our association. You are the difference makers. You are the change makers. You are the boots on the ground, bringing smiles to children every day. You are the PTA community. I am so proud of each and every one of you and the association we choose to lead, PTA. So it will be my goal, our goal, to market our value better, louder, and more effectively than ever before. And finally, we must strengthen parent and family engagement for all children. While we have made great strides by supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion across our association, we've got work to do. We, PTA, need to represent the children we all serve, to be welcoming to every family, and to find the power and, most importantly, the beauty in our differences. I am so excited to announce that we will be starting an Engaged DEI, that's Engaged Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion initiative through our Center for Family Engagement. With support from the Gates Foundation, this work will start this summer with a survey of our governance about their perception of diversity, equity, and inclusion at National PTA. It will be followed by a survey of our state leadership. We will be using this assessment to help us deliver a shared language, shared goals, and shared plans for how we can learn to exemplify these values every day at PTA. Each of our 54 state congresses have unique strengths and face unique challenges. Our diversity of thought is a strength. It is not a weakness. We may not always agree, but isn't that what democracy is all about? Coming to a common ground for good? We must remember that we share a common mission, a common identity. I was reminded recently of our nation's founding motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. 13 disparate colonies became one country, one people. The same is true of PTA. Out of 54 state congresses, there is one PTA. Each one of us has to find the beauty in our differences instead of the fear. Listen instead of react. Reach out instead of ignore. Understand instead of judge. Recognize your greatness as well as the greatness of others. Be vulnerable. Be courageous. Remember, PTA is a community, and our community accepts all. So I'm standing here, and anyone that believes in our community, please come up here and join me on stage. If you believe we are one community, please come up here and join me on stage. Just telling you. Come and join me. Hey there.
Hey there.
And as I see the room clearing out, and staff was going last, you may have a stage that's full, and that's what I expect. Because we are family. So just make room for everybody. Come on up. Come on. I'll try not to fall off the stage. I won't. Y'all can come up here. Hi.
You're fine.
Hi.
There you go.
Hi. How are you? Are you good? You're good. That's great. So come on up here. Everybody come up here.
We are with you, Madam President. We are with you.
We're on. So as I bring my time to a close, okay, I love y'all family. Y'all are my family, I can tell. I always love my PTA people. They start off silent and then all of a sudden they just start talking and they don't want to quit. So I want you to look around, take a time and look around at each other. And what I want you to recognize is this is your family. And as I said earlier, sometimes family quarrel. And sometimes families disagree. But through good times and bad, families stick together. I ask that each of you stick with me and with our association as we work to engage and empower one another to lead, to listen, to be vulnerable, and to be courageous as we raise our voices for all children. I love you all. This is all about y'all, not about me. Today's about you. Thank you so much for being here.
We are good. We are good.